ask yourself a damn question. Is winning the only thing to you?
Sports today are not just played on the field. They're played every day, online, all over the world, by sports fans just like you.
Don't you dare breathe. That won't get you anywhere. If you don't think you're a winner, you don't belong here.
Fantasy Sports puts you in control of your own team. The Nick Bonsanto Show is proud to present the Star Fantasy League Show. Find out who to sit, who to start, how to play, and have your daily fantasy sports questions answered with your host, Jonathan Sprung, co-hosted by SFL CEO Zach Stanley and SFL COO Seth Young. The Star Fantasy League Show, on the air.
Make this game your finest hour.
Now.
Hello and welcome to the Star Fantasy League Show here on the Sports Byline USA Network. I am your host, Jonathan Sprung. So glad to have back our co-host, the actual co-host of this show. I'd like to welcome in Mr. Zach Stanley. Welcome back, Zach.
It's so good to be back in the studio.
It's so good to be back in this country, right?
I'm tired of being outside. I'm tired of being in the cold. It's warm and toasty in here at Star Fantasy League's headquarters.
Yeah, this show has been a lot about the cold. We've mentioned blizzards, more blizzards, snowfalls. Let's introduce the other man of the hour, Seth Young.
I am entertaining.
Yeah, this is gonna be one inside joke after another on this show, isn't it? Yeah, you think you're entertaining, but that's actually the reason you're here. You're just entertainment. We take your picks with large grains of salt on the Star Fantasy League show, right?
Going on trips with this guy is just absolutely awful.
You know what? That is a little bit awful, but you know what's great? It is Thursday, and that means on this show we do the weekend fantasy focus for daily fantasy football. I guess there's only 1 or 2 weeks left of this, guys. What are we going to do?
We're running out of time. It's sad over here. We're weeping a little bit, except for the fact that we have two other sports that are in heavy action right now.
Wait, you mean there's other sport? Oh, wait, you know what? You and you guys weren't here. We talked daily fantasy basketball, and we talked daily fantasy hockey with our buddy Derek. You guys missed it. That was a good interview.
Well, now that we're back, we have to talk about football because we only have so much time.
I know. It's a finite amount of football time. We're going to spend today in the second and third segments of the show talking exclusively about daily fantasy football for this weekend. But the first segment, coming up on a break, we're going to talk about daily fantasy basketball for the slate today. Only 2 games, but we'll get to it. And you're listening to the Star Fantasy League Show on the Sports Byline USA Network.
Nick Bonsanto is proud to present the Star Fantasy League Show. Feel free to tweet the show at SFL Show. Let's do this. Time for your Star Fantasy League's NBA Fantasy Lineup Breakdown.
We are back on the Star Fantasy League Show. We are talking fantasy basketball. I love this. This is my favorite part. I know we all love football. I know, Zach. I see you giving me that look. But there are only 2 games on the slate tonight, which gives us a lot to break down, specifically about deep players. Because normally you get to talk about 12, 14 teams a night. Tonight we get to actually get into it.
I'm completely obsessed with NBA. I love watching NBA. I love playing daily fantasy NBA. It's perfect. And you're right. With 2 games on the slate, there's a lot to look at tonight because you really have to figure out exactly. It's like putting together a puzzle.
Yeah.
You have to find the perfect players to put in each spot.
Do you think it's easier or harder with the shorter schedule? I mean, there's less players to pick from, but I think it becomes harder in this case.
I think you're looking at not hitting or hitting a home run. There's not much wiggle room in terms of, if say you're doing double-up tournaments or something like that. There's not much wiggle room for you to be able to go big and take it down.
As a less of a fan of basketball, I think I'm definitely more well-versed in football and stuff. I like when there are shorter schedules. It gives me, as a beginner anyway, it gives me a little bit less to research, and I know more about the players that I'm picking. It's a lower barrier to entry for beginners, I think. It makes it a lot easier.
Well, it's a lot less scary when you're looking at it. You're not going, why are there 1,000 players to look at? You don't just see that. You see, there's a couple players at each position. You got a little bit of an idea.
You can read everything about everybody on both teams. And it gives you, for me at least, it gives me an opportunity to get introduced more to people that I may not normally read about.
That brings up a good point. I'm always a little thrown off, like when you can see all on StarFantasyLeagues.com, you can actually see every other team once the game starts. Obviously, until they play, they're hidden. But once you see everybody else's lineups, I hate seeing a player and then going, oh, I didn't even think of him. Oh, I didn't even see him. Because if there's so many players going on tonight, I see everybody. I go, yeah, I know him. I researched him.
With the larger nights, when you're in the GPPs, stuff like that, you're looking at much higher scores. The odds of you winning and putting up scores like that, you have to really create a perfect lineup. But you can take down on a night like this with an imperfect lineup and still have the best score out of the people you're playing against.
That is
because
very
there
true.
just aren't that many options.
Speaking of a perfect lineup, though, I think one of us is going to have a perfect lineup tonight. I'm gonna let you start off. Open the floor. Let me know how you got to your perfect lineup tonight. Don't forget on StarFantasyLeagues.com, 2 guards, 2 forwards, 2 centers, 2 utility, $100,000 salary cap. Let's see how you got there.
Okay, Thursday night is one of those nights where you're really looking for injuries. Because if there's not injuries, you're going to see guys with higher value, and you're trying to figure who's that guy that's going to come off the bench. Like who's going to get the extra minutes off the bench? Is a guy like Timothy Mozgov going to come up with big points out of nowhere just because Denver has a favorable matchup at center or something like that? You really have to dig deep. But fortunately, tonight is one of those nights where we've got some players that we can actually look at. And my big low value play of the night, which has allowed me to get a bunch of studs in my lineup, is Evan Fournier on Denver, who is sitting on StarFantasyLeagues.com at 3,170.
Evan Fournier. Wow, you went super deep.
We got Wilson Chandler doubtful to play. Fournier's been getting some minutes. And you're looking at a game that's, a 212, something like that, in an over-under?
Yep.
You're going to see a lot of run-and-gun stuff, and Fournier is good in the lineup for that rather than a guy like Darrell Arthur, who's more likely to slow it down in the half court.
Well, and don't forget, Nate Robinson's running the point right now. He's game time decision as of right this second, but he's more than likely going to play because if they don't have him, who do they have running the point? Literally nobody.
Yeah, off the bench.
Yeah,
because Andre Miller's suspended.
Yep.
I don't know what Andre Miller's up to. But
Nobody. I don't think anybody knows. We could probably get him to be the 4th co-host on the show. If
we
you want.
could. I think he's got some time available.
No, that's reserved for John Kitna.
That's true. Sorry. I'm sorry, John Kitna. We love you. You're beautiful.
I also want to know what you think about Norris Cole tonight at 72-79.
See, I didn't go that way. I'll be honest. I didn't.
Some nights, when it's a night where there aren't the real top guys playing, the real marquee guys, a Kevin Love, a LeBron James, a Kevin Durant.
I believe LeBron James is playing today.
No, but I mean on nights when there aren't.
Yeah.
But on nights like this, it's when I really look for the value so that I can get some of those big guys in the lineup. And Norris Cole is starting with Mario Chalmers sitting out. I'm looking at if he gets me 18 to 20 fantasy points tonight, I'm going to be happy because it allowed me to get both Kevin Durant and Carmelo Anthony in my lineup.
Oh, wow.
Did you know that Norris Cole's a salutatorian of his graduating high school class? I certainly didn't know that.
Did you get fantasy points for being salutatorian?
No. He's got a high basketball IQ.
Are you on Wikipedia right now?
No, definitely not.
What are you looking at?
Definitely not Wikipedia.
That's amazing. All right, so who else do you got? So you basically what you're thinking was tonight is you got a lot of those value guys first in order to put the bigger guys on your lineup. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes. Did you know his father was actually a coal miner?
That can't be true.
That's not true.
That's not true.
It's two different Coles. It's COLE.
Wow.
So
Thank you.
I'm in a similar type of situation with Raymond Felton, although he is the regular starter. You got Pablo Prigioni out. Beno Udrih out tonight. There's not much. I mean, Torrey Murray's going to be backing him up. There's not a lot of guys that can fill in the minutes.
There was some hype and some buzz for that guy.
Yeah,
until he does something.
Even the last two games,
from
he's getting like 4 or 5, 10 minutes.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
I think Raymond Felton is a great play tonight at 10,000. That's below the average that he's been for a while now. He was injured. He dropped a little bit. Had a good game last game. I think that continues tonight. Also, I don't think there's a lot of other options at the center position. You got to post 2 center players tonight. You've got Chris Bosh and J.J. Hickson. If you can get those 2 guys into your lineup, which I did.
Which, of course, if
which
you can
I'm
do it,
pleased
which
that
Zach
I did.
Yeah, which Zach did.
Then I think that's where you're going to be best off. Otherwise, you're looking at taking some chances. I don't think Bargnani's a bad play tonight because they announced that he's going to play after he missed shoot-around with an illness.
He went off last game,
too. Yeah.
He got a little crazy.
Whenever Chandler is out, Bargnani has a chance to go off. And the player that I really like, and a reason that I wasn't trying to fit LeBron James in over Carmelo is Carmelo because he goes for the boards when Chandler is out, and he picks up a ton more fantasy points when they need him on the boards like that.
So
he gets more aggressive.
What about
defense.
Kenyon Martin and Amari Stoudemire? Are they even fantasy relevant on the next night?
Yeah, Kenyon Martin, very, very. He's starting at center. I am all over the. When you said 2 centers, I thought you were actually going to say
power forward.
No, he's. Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, because Bargnani's at center.
I'm sorry, you're right.
Bargnani will chill out behind the arc anyways.
That's why when they say that, if I'm like, lineups these days are not really lineups. Like they put these players in these technical positions, and you go, but he's actually guarding the center. He's in the low post. He's the center. But technically, you're right. Andrea Bargnani is listed as the starting center, which is the biggest farce in basketball.
Yeah, I think Kenyon Martin could present good value tonight. He had a great game last game. I think he put up about 26 fantasy points, which is well exceeding his value. So, yeah, I would definitely look at him as an option. That's
I don't know about Amari Stoudemire, though. He always kind of looks lazy when he plays.
He drives me crazy.
The
only time in Amari's career where I actually enjoyed watching him was when he got to play with Steve Nash because he was running the pick and roll constantly.
In Phoenix, under
and just
D'Antoni,
taking open jumpers off the pick and roll over and over again.
Yep.
But when he was by himself, and Carmelo hadn't even gotten to New York yet, and he was forced to play by himself, yeah, he put up a lot of fantasy points. But talk about a guy that can't play defense.
Yeah, really, absolutely.
And takes way too many jump shots. I mean, he's a strong body. He should get down there and get physical.
We're spending way too much time talking about somebody we absolutely hate. Does that round out your lineup, Zach?
I've also got Kenneth Fareed, who's at 11,269.
Love Kenneth Fareed.
Been going off the last couple of games, I think 38 and 36 fantasy points, something like that.
Great
value, good matchup. You got to have him in.
See, you went for a couple different guys than I did. I'd like to go over my lineup real quick in the last couple minutes. I have Nate Robinson starting. I absolutely love for at his price, $78.80. He is a boom or bust. I like sometimes when you spend that little, I like going for the potential of either 10 or 40. Because he can go for either at any given night. And tonight, in this up-tempo game against OKC, they're going to need to score. And Nate Robinson loves these kind of games. Loves them.
He is the definitive boomer bust.
Yeah.
But if he misses 3 or 4 in a row, watch out.
He's done. Yeah,
he could have 4 minutes and be on the bench.
Would you think that Nate Robinson has a low ceiling?
He's short. We get it. It's a short joke. All right. Other guard position, I got Reggie Jackson in there. He went off in his last game. I feel like who's he got guarding him at point guard? Nobody tonight.
Lawson. Lawson's a decent defender.
Yeah, but they run. They love to run.
Oh yeah, he's gonna have open opportunities tonight. And honestly, that was one of my big disappointments.
Was not getting
in my lineup was that I couldn't fit him in. But I'm pretty pleased with my lineup, anyways.
Yeah, we agree on Fareed, Bosch. I love Bargnani. I got him in there. Kevin Durant was my guy. I had a lot of money saved up because I spent a little money everywhere else. Martin was a good saver. I got Fareed, good saver. Reggie Jackson's pretty cheap. Nate Robinson. Then I spent on Serge Ibaka only because he didn't play the other night. He was out with flu-like symptoms. That just means he's going to come back with a vengeance tonight. Denver is 29th against the power forward position. They're allowing a lot of points. This is going to be an up-tempo game. These two teams are going to kill each other pretty much. That's what I assume. And then... that pretty much rounds out my lineup tonight. I really like my lineup. We're going to go head-to-head.
I think the Denver 3-game win streak ends tonight against OKC, though.
Yeah, that is most likely going to happen. OKC has been on fire.
Only a 3.5-point spread.
Yeah, but...
Denver at home. Be careful.
That's true. After the break, we're going to do the Weekend Fantasy Focus, and you're listening to the Star Fantasy League show on the Sports Byline USA Network.
You're listening to the Star Fantasy League show on the Nick Monsanto Show here on the Sports Byline USA Network. Contact the StarFantasyLeagues.com guys via Twitter at SFL Show. Time to break down the weekend NFL games. Weekend Focus now on the Star Fantasy League show.
We are back on the Star Fantasy League show with my favorite segment ever, and almost for the last time. I think next week we're going to do it too. But it is the Weekend Fantasy Focus. We've been doing this for a long time, the entire season actually. What we do on the Weekend Fantasy Focus is we give you every part of daily fantasy football, from the value picks to the weekend winners, and we play a lovely game you guys go crazy about. Would you rather?
Mostly because I beat Zach every time.
So I have 2 more weeks to make fun of Seth about football.
Well,
just football, though.
You can't really make fun of him at basketball because he just sits there and smiles and goes, I don't really know that much.
And, of course, I can let the football linger for a few months, making fun of him for his failures.
That's true.
At fantasy. And then when it starts up again, I'll be like, hey, you're going to fail again.
None of this sounds good to me.
Yeah, that's none of it. You know what
excited.
You know what does sound good? Let's get right into it. Let's talk about Value Corner. These are your value picks, the guys that are a little bit lower than everybody else, but we think they're going to be the winners in your lineup. Let's start at the QB position. Seth, who do you got for a value QB this week?
I think we got to go with Tom Brady this week. He's at 15,369. He's the lowest of the starting quarterbacks.
Yeah, because guess who's left?
Tom Brady.
There's 8 quarterbacks left.
I am a huge Tom Brady fan. Zach put Tom Brady stuff all up on my door, and I love looking at it every morning.
That wasn't the point of doing it.
It's on the outside of his door. How does he look at it every morning? Oh, I guess when he's
going walking in the door. And then he leaves his door open, and then he sits in his chair and stares at it.
Sometimes you have to walk in the door to get through a doorway.
I was going to say, in the StarFantasyLeagues.com offices, Seth is a little weird. I'm not going to lie.
What?
It makes me uncomfortable.
We don't need to bring up the butter again.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. Tom Brady is a great pick this week. He's playing Indianapolis. Indianapolis let up 45 points to Alex Smith.
I think it's hard to disagree with this. I'm looking at Tom Brady as well. I also like Andrew Luck.
I agree.
I like that game, too. I like that game to have some big points, a lot of offensive stats.
I think it's going to be a very interesting game. And when we talk about defense, Well, we'll talk about defense.
We talk about defense. What defense in this game? What defense are you talking about?
I don't think. I think Andrew Luck will have a good game, but I think the Patriots D may step up and be a surprising pick this week. Considering all the other games, we don't have any bad offenses playing. Everybody on that has an offense this week is a good offense.
That's actually very true. I was trying to think of something to say, and I was like, no, actually, you're
right.
right.
So when I'm thinking about the quarterback position, I'm thinking about the people who are making the most mistakes pretty consistently. Andrew Luck's got to be up there for me. I mean, he had some turnovers last week. The Pats D isn't terrible, and
but he throws so much.
But it's the playoffs now, and I think the Pats D can step up. D in special teams, maybe get a touchdown, get a couple picks, a fumble recovery.
You lost Brandon Spikes on IR. You have nobody in the middle.
Does this have anything to do with you being a Patriots fan?
No, not at all. I mean, these are usually hard fought games, Indianapolis and New England.
Are you a homer?
Think about the other defenses that are playing this weekend, and who can you pick?
Well,
I mean, who's a really good pick?
I love that we're talking about QBs, and somehow he goes off on this tangent about defense. We're not going to talk about defense ever again on the Weekend Fantasy Focus, guys. We're done. I actually want to bring up Phil Rivers. He managed a great game last week. He showed that he can be a consistent quarterback. But I also think with Danny Woodhead on his team against Denver, I really think that he's going to be great value this week.
We know he can put up points against Denver.
And they beat Denver.
It's starting to get and they beat Denver. It's starting to get difficult when you're looking at the board for value and you see like the third or fourth guy and you're like, this guy looks pretty valuable, but he's like the third guy. But I agree. I
like Phil Rivers.
He's not too much more expensive than Andrew Luck, and Andrew Luck's listed at just over $16K.
I would go with Brady in one of these two, with Luck or Rivers, because you don't want to spend for Peyton. Let's be honest, he's a lot of money.
Yeah, if you end up making your line, I would put Luck initially in your lineup. You end up getting to the end of it, you got some left over. Plug Rivers in there if you want to.
That's exactly where I was going with it. See, we didn't all agree. Seth, you go, we're going to agree on everything. Believe me, there's no agreeing in
Tom Brady at home in the playoffs. I'm just not betting against him. I'm not.
All right, let's move on to running backs before Seth just goes all
Tom
off
Brady
on
and
Tom Brady.
Foxborough.
Yep. All right, who do you got for running backs, Zach?
I have Donald Brown.
Yep.
I think that's a great pick. He's got a good matchup. New England gets torn up on the run.
Yeah, let's name their inside players. Seth, can you name anybody on their defense right now?
I think their defense is fantastic, dude.
Hold on, I can name everyone that's out. Can you name anybody that's playing? It's Gerard Mayo's missing, Vince Wilfork's missing, Brandon Spikes is missing. Guess what? They all stop the run, and guess what? They've been the worst rush defense since Wilfork and Mayo went down.
It's a good thing that Indianapolis doesn't have anybody on their team that knows how to run the ball.
Donald Brown has been more than capable in the last 6 to 8 weeks. Yeah.
You don't know what you're talking about. Okay.
That's my favorite quote from you. You say that at least 8 times a show. It's great.
LeGarrette Blount, I also like at 74.36. All right, you can take one.
No. I mean, I was with you on both. They're both good value picks. I like LeGarrette Blount.
He's been getting so many carries.
He has weekend winner potential written all over him too. Oh,
boy.
Yeah,
we'll wait to talk about that so I can rip you apart.
Well, look, there's another guy that had a surprising week last week. Pierre Thomas was out at the last second. Mark Ingram had a great game. I think if Pierre Thomas doesn't play again, Ingram's a great pick at 5,040.
I don't disagree, but I want to. I said I had some surprises up my sleeve. I like Monty Ball this week.
I don't think that's awful.
I was waiting. One of you was going to yell at me.
Ball?
I love Monty Ball this week.
First of all, if they dominate San Diego, which is possible in this game, they're going to start plugging him in.
Yeah.
And they like to plug him in near the goal line, and at 6,200, it's not a bad value.
I see several scenarios where he actually gets the ball a lot. The one that you just mentioned where they're up a lot and they're just pounding the ball. The goal line thing you mentioned. And I also think they like going with him as a change of pace. They really seem... Like you've noticed, sometimes he comes in the third quarter and runs 7 to 8 times, and he's been running well. He's getting these 8 for 70 yards, and if he gets a touchdown with that, guess what? He's going to be weekend winner.
I just don't really think that the running game is going to be as huge a factor as you might think, only because the San Diego secondary is worse than the Patriots secondary. They have nobody covering anybody.
Yeah, but this is still an offense that likes to catch balls out of the backfield.
That's exactly what it is.
That's what Noshan's going to be doing for a change of pace.
No, Monty Ball in his last, I believe it was his last 3 games, had averaged 3 catches a game. He's catching balls out of the backfield. He's doing it.
The last 3 games Denver played were after they had locked up playoff spots.
That doesn't matter. They were still playing. Moreno, for some reason, was still playing. I'm not sure why. He had that 1 game off, but I really like him as a deep. I mean, we said it. We have to look for deep value. Again, we're talking about daily fantasy sports this weekend on StarFantasyLeagues.com. You have to find value. That's the whole point.
I wouldn't take him over Blount and Brown, but if you're looking to plug in 3 guys, and those are the 3 guys, Those are 3 bad guys to plug in.
All right, guys, if you think I'm crazy and you think Moneyball's just out there, please tweet us at SFL Show. Tell me I'm an idiot. But
Tell me he's an idiot.
Well, yeah.
Why don't you tweet him?
You can
I
tweet
will
us.
tweet. You know what? I'm going to tweet the show and tell you you're an idiot.
I say we tweet
I tell you you're an idiot right now.
We tweet on breaks. We like to have a little fun here. But yeah, if you want to tweet me and tell me I'm an idiot at SFL Show, just go ahead. I can take it. I'm a man. I'm 40. I can take it.
I'm a
swear.
man.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to wide receivers you guys like for value. You got?
There's a lot of value this week at wide receiver. Let me first go with my weekend winner pick from last week, T.Y. Hilton, who was, in fact,
we gave you credit,
the weekend
Seth.
winner.
We gave you credit.
Say it again. Say it again.
However,
You didn't pick him at all.
your value play was more expensive than him.
Yeah, let's leave the past.
Now we're going to give you credit,
and then
even though what you did made absolutely no sense.
Why can't you just recognize my good things? This was a good thing for
Why
me.
can't you recognize my good things?
I tried to.
All right, T.Y. Hilton this week is just over $9,000, which is actually cheaper than he was last week for some reason.
Well, because the quality of player,
Anyway, T.Y. Hilton's a fantastic pick, and if I can pick one more before I let you talk, Zach.
No.
Yes, I'm moderate. Go ahead, Seth.
Keenan Allen at $11,786.
Who? Was he playing last week?
Last week was a completely different story. They're playing Denver this week. I think they're really going to have to use him.
It's kind of shaky value.
Yeah, it is
He's
shaky value.
He's pretty expensive. You just said there's so much value when I see guys that add up to that salary. Right
yeah, okay.
Zach, go ahead. Let's tell him what value actually is on StarFantasyLeagues.com.
Okay. I didn't think you guys would have either of these players because the matchup is so difficult. But I am giving a look to both Brandon LaFell and Steve Smith. Steve Smith's at 8,414. Brandon LaFell's at 7,249. One of them is going to have a good game. And I think if you're looking to do a strategic double-up lineup, that's a good way to go, is to pick both of those guys and put them in your lineup as 2 of your value players. One of them is going to perform.
On the other hand, you've got Crabtree, who's listed at just over $8,000 too. On the other side of the
Also
ball.
a difficult matchup.
Yeah, well,
absolutely. Because they're playing each
They're
other.
all difficult matchups.
Let's be honest.
These are the playoff teams that are really actually good, except for maybe Indianapolis. I think they're pretenders.
Well, of course.
What about San Diego?
San Diego squeaked in.
San Diego
absolutely.
is playing. They're playing the no one believes in us thing right now. I'm scared to death because you bet we had a
They
bet
could
on
beat
this.
the chart.
Well, when the Patriots almost went undefeated, they kind of were playing that
Oh,
too.
man.
Pretty much every year the Patriots are like, nobody's been talking about us.
Shots fired.
Who was talking about the Patriots this year? I mean, this was kind of
they could be playing.
They had
Actually,
a quiet
I want to talk
12
about that later.
Well,
They could
until
be.
Gronkowski went down, they were being picked to win the Super Bowl.
I didn't
Yes,
see
that is true.
Where?
Yes.
I don't know about that.
In New England, maybe.
Trent Dilfer definitely said that.
He's not well. All right, my guy that you guys, I'm going with people really under the radar this week because I want deep value. I'm going with Griff Whalen. I really think this whole Belichick shutting down T.Y. Hilton thing is real. I think they're going to. That's going to be their game plan. They shut down Jimmy Graham again when they played New Orleans. I think they're going
What about
to go.
Rick Rodgers?
Yeah, what about Rick Rodgers?
Get out of here, Rick Rodgers. I
What
actually
about
like.
Kobe Fleener?
No, he's not a wide receiver. Seth.
No, he's not. He's a tight end.
Okay, there you go. So what we're talking about right now, we're talking about wide receivers.
Griff Whalen was nowhere to be found. I mean, when they have Donald Brown and maybe even Trent Richardson, I think
Who?
Griff Whalen's like the fifth look to get the ball there.
Yeah, but it's one of those. It's the Stanford connection again. Luck loves these guys. Griff Whalen's
What's
a
Rodgers
Stanford
at,
boy.
like 5,600 or
Yeah, I
something
believe
like that?
he's more expensive.
What about Levon Brazil?
No, and don't forget,
no,
Hayward
not
Bay is
so.
officially now out. He's some phantom injury. I think he's just he doesn't really like to play.
I think that's really reaching. I mean, that's deep value. I guess
That's why I said
for
deep.
really, really cheap.
You already named my other guys. I'm just giving some
He's boom or
extra
bust.
value.
He's like Kenny Stills-esque, I guess.
Oh, you did say Kenny Stills too last week, didn't you?
I like
Yeah.
Kenny Stills last week, sure. I mean, how about Marcus Colston underperforming? That was really
That was bad.
Now we're just going back and like twisting the knife in each. You're just going to do your little fights, aren't you?
No, we were actually on par with Colston.
Oh, you both liked him, yeah.
But
that's true.
the issue with Colston is that if they choose to guard the team of receivers, then usually Colston ends up having a bad game because Graham gets open.
Yeah, that does.
It's either Graham or Colston, it seems like, every week, and then you throw in a Stills touchdown here or there.
Yeah. Well, we didn't get all the way through our value picks, but after the break, we're going to do value picks, weekend winners, would you rather, and all that good fun stuff. So come on back. You're listening to the Star Fantasy League show on the Sports Byline USA Network.
Play fantasy sports for cash prizes. Join the top daily and weekly fantasy leagues in the country at StarFantasyLeagues.com. Now, back to the Star Fantasy League show with Jonathan, Zach, and Seth.
We are back on the Star Fantasy League show, and we actually are with Seth and Zach. The last couple of days that they said that, and I was like, oh, they're not here. That's so sad. The voiceover's wrong. Aw.
It's good to be back.
It is good to be back. This is a lot of fun to do. I'm not going to lie. I love doing this.
It's so much better with us here.
Oh, wow. Shots fired again. All right, let's quickly...
Tweet at me.
What's up, Foot?
That's he's listening too. He doesn't like that. All right, before the break, we were talking about our value play. We didn't get to finish the tight ends and defenses, so let's quickly go over tight end position. Who do you guys got your value plays real quick?
Real easy, Kobe Fleener, $5,800 in New England.
Real easy, Kobe Fleener.
See,
Yeah, I like two other guys this week too that can be
go
good
ahead.
value.
If you steal my guy, I'm going to hit you.
I got another one on my list too.
All right. Well, I've got two guys on my list. One of them is Antonio Gates, just under 9K, and playing in Denver. I really like both teams. Both are high-powered offenses. The other is Michael Humana-Wanui in New England.
He said it too. That was nice.
And he's 3,000. He's the minimum. And you can also look. You never know what the Patriots are going to do. You could also potentially look at Matthew Mulligan.
Oh my God! Stop.
Or even James Devlin.
We don't need this better. You're killing me.
All right, you know what just happened there?
Yeah, he named 5.
One of those guys gets a
he's gonna
touchdown,
cry.
he's going to be.
You never know what they're going to do there. You've seen James Devlin carry the ball.
All right, so why don't we advise the
backfield.
listeners
To take everybody.
You never know what they're going to do.
For the minimum, Humana-Wanui is better picked than Monty Ball in my opinion.
Oh, my
well, Monty Ball's
God.
also not the minimum.
Yeah, that's true. Guy I really like, who I took last week, and you guys were all like, oh, I guess it's okay, was Ladarius Green. I've taken him 3 other times this season. He scored touchdowns in every game.
First of all, don't group me with him.
I didn't
say that.
Oh, okay.
Also, I like Zach Miller. I think there's a chance that he could have a big game. He had 5 catches for 86 yards and a TD last time against New Orleans. I don't think it's out of the question that he reaches the end zone. He's been a hot target.
You want to put your Zach Miller against my Humana-Wanui?
I think I would have to put my Zach Miller against your entire Patriots tight end
exactly.
roster.
Really? I'll
Based
take
on,
that.
or you might not want to overlook this guy or this guy or this guy.
Every single one. All right, guys, there's a lot of value. I was not expecting
How
that.
about this practice squad player?
Let's talk about value defenses on StarFantasyLeagues.com real quickly before we get into weekend winners.
They're all real tough, but I think if you're looking for value, maybe you got to think about New Orleans versus Seattle.
That's exactly who I got. I think that game is going to be a lot lower scoring than it was last time. It was 38-7 last time. They got crushed. That was a blowout.
Well, New Orleans is just a shade over 2,000, 2,274. Think about the high-powered offenses. Seattle can work the ball more slowly, and I don't know. I feel like if you're just looking for sort of like the pick that's not going to kill you so much.
They call that a punt. You're just like, yeah, go ahead, just throw it. Throw it in there.
Maybe it's Seattle. Maybe the game is a little less high-scoring than, say, San Diego and Denver.
Do you have anybody else? Because I'm on that New Orleans bandwagon.
I do have someone else.
Oh.
I like the Denver defense. Phillip Rivers likes to hold on to the ball from time to time, and there is such a good chance, in my opinion, of this game getting a pick 6 from Denver.
Okay.
I think there's a really good – I'm going to go ahead and predict it.
I don't disagree with that.
All right, guys.
I also like the Patriots team. We talked about this earlier.
This is true. All right, that'll wrap up the value plays this week. Let's get into weekend winners. These are the guys we actually think, regardless of salary, are going to have the most fantasy points at every position. Obviously, we'll start out with the quarterbacks. Is it anybody other than Peyton, really?
Not for me. I think there's a chance that Rivers could chase him, especially if Denver gets way ahead in this game and Phillip is just throwing the ball to try to make a comeback, and Denver's trying to run out the clock. But, I mean, I can't pick against him. We got an over-under of 55 in this game. At home, Peyton Manning all the way.
Yeah, you're going to say Brady?
No, Peyton Manning.
Okay, good. Because I have Manning, Rivers, and Brady as the 3, but it's the top 2 are the top 2.
Well, you got to pick one, John.
I know, but I'm saying, hey, I'm giving the listeners a little bit more. I know you love to do that, where you make an argument for both sides of a coin and you try to flip it. You're like, it doesn't flip. What happened?
2 heads,
2
tails.
You always get the same thing.
You guys don't make any sense.
All right, yeah, because he's trying to weigh both of us against each other, and we both.
You know who I have at running back?
Yeah, go ahead.
Marshawn Lynch.
Okay, I don't have him.
You have him?
Yes.
I saw Zach. Zach just hit the chair.
I also have Marshawn Lynch. Obviously, I like to be right first.
Yeah, I know you do.
But I think what happened was that Seth was looking at my sheet.
You guys
you can't see Zach. Zach has angry eyes right now.
That's true. You guys hate to agree. That's the best part. That's why we love Would You Rather on the show, because you guys hate to agree. It's fun. I have some insider information here.
I like when Zach agrees with me.
Marshawn Lynch, last time, Saints beast mode.
Yeah,
he's always beast mode.
That was a couple years ago.
Yeah, but that was one of the best runs that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
All right, a guy I like because of insider information. Ryan Matthews might sit because of his nagging injuries. He might sit. If he sits, and this is a conditional winner of the week, if he sits, Danny Woodhead is the winner of the week at running back.
That really bothered me that Ryan Matthews was nowhere to be found last week. And Ronnie Brown breaks off.
No, he wasn't nowhere to be found. He had some decent. He had like 60 yards.
Terrible.
They had 200 yards on the ground.
Ryan Matthews did a lot more than what was expected this year. And early in the year, it didn't look like anything was going to happen.
It was a contract year for him.
That helped. Yeah, because he's been a no-show for the past 3 years.
He still had several inconsistent weeks, so I'm not surprised when he puts up a dud.
I don't want to go on too much of a tangent, but Darren McFadden is done.
Oh, yeah. We're talking about the playoffs. He's never even going to sniff the playoffs
about a contract
in his
Ryan
career.
Big tangent.
Yeah,
that's a big tangent.
Seth, you have to actually go off on a tangent, not just make a comment.
You have to actually
tangent.
Into that.
Let me tell you about my weekend winner at the wide receiver position.
I love he's trying to segue the show himself. He's like, I'm Seth Young, the new host of the Star Fantasy League show. Let's talk about SFL show on Twitter.
I'm going to usurp this from you, Donald.
Okay, go ahead.
I like Eric Decker this week. Believe it or not. I like him better than Demaryius Thomas. I like him better than Wes Welker. I like him better than Julius Thomas. I think Eric Decker's going to get in the end zone more than once. I think he's going to catch a bomb or two. San Diego secondary is absolutely terrible. Demaryius Thomas gets first look. Who knows what happens with Welker? I think Decker's going to be a very high-value play this week.
Yeah, do you want to make a little side bet on this? Because I'm going Demaryius Thomas all day.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I got
more athletic, stretches the field better. Peyton loves him. I think
Peyton loves Decker, too.
It's going to be fine. Demaryius will take care of business. This is his big game. This is his time to shine. Athletic beast.
We're making a bet on this.
I feel like Peyton Loves Decker is like a CW sitcom waiting to happen. Peyton Loves Decker with Peyton Manning.
With Ty Hilton, the supporting cast.
That's a good, if they trade T.Y. Hilton to Indianapolis, Peyton Loves Ty. That would be a good show. I'd watch that.
Wow, John.
I know, I'm embarrassing. I like weird stuff to watch. You know this. Come on. Another guy, I'm going under the radar this week at that position because I think this game is going to be another blowout. I like Julian Edelman for the winner of the week at wide receiver this week. The guy's like locked to catch 10 to 11 balls. They always end up in his lap. Tom Brady loves him. No Gronk. They're going to put up points. I think Julian Edelman has a chance.
I think if that's going to happen, it's going to have to be a very mid-level week for everybody else because Julian Edelman has a cap. Even if he gets 10 catches, you're looking at 90 to 100 yards,
and 2 touchdowns?
Maybe. But probably not.
Who's their red zone target?
All I'm saying is that it's a big risk. It's a big risk. It's not a bad call, but when I'm looking at my weekend winners, I can't take a chance like that.
All right, fine. Let's move to tight end. I wanted to say Jimmy Graham so badly, but he has to bring it, but I don't think he's going to. I think that Seattle is going to do the whole game plan to get him out of the game, and I still think it's going to be Julius Thomas.
I'm with you on Julius Thomas, actually. I was looking at this. It just didn't look good to me. I didn't, honestly, sometimes when you're looking at these things, you like to pick somebody that is a lot less than the top guy that you think could have just as much value. But it's not even that. I think this is really a coin flip this week. And to take Julius Thomas, you're not only getting the value, but you're getting a guy that could definitely outperform Jimmy Graham.
I think Kobe Fleener's got a real good shot.
Yeah, he does. It depends on how that game goes. Like we said, T.Y. Hilton's going to get shut down most likely, and Kobe Fleener's second in line to get those receptions.
Yeah, he's my pick this week. I think that they have to throw to somebody. And the Patriots D, like you said, the Patriots D has some problems. Kobe Fleener, if T.Y. Hilton's getting shut down, he's going to get the ball.
If he puts up 80% of the fantasy points of King Julian, I'll give you a cookie.
King Julius, really? Wow. I like that.
What do you think?
Are you anointing him right away?
I think so.
Yeah, I like that.
He's the man.
All right, guys. We know you want to do the best part of the show.
Stay healthy, Julius.
The favorite part of the show is Would You Rather, but we got defense to talk about. Can we just scoot past defense? We got one.
Pat's D.
Really?
Yeah, man.
I don't want to raise the Pat's D.
Look at all the other teams. It's such high-powered offensive.
Why didn't you pick them before?
I did pick them before.
Yeah, he did say them before. That's true. So he's reiterating what he said before.
I think Pat Steve's going to put up a pick six, maybe get another interception there, maybe a fumble recovery or two.
Do you guys get? Do you got one?
No, not really.
Yeah, defense is hard this week. I like the punt on New Orleans. I like just throwing him in there. Just go with it.
You really New Orleans, and then he reverted to the Patriots.
Well, New Orleans is a good value pick, but I really think that you're choosing between really the lesser
of two evils.
Two evil D, I guess. They're all not great this week. Defense is just not a power position this week for anybody.
I would go with Denver again. I can just see Phillip Rivers pulling his chin strap off, barking at his teammates, yelling and walking all around, all mad. And I actually love the fact that they beat Denver late in the year because it's not going to happen again.
Yeah. All right, let's get on to Would You Rather, my favorite part of this show by far. You guys get to fight. All right, let's start off.
I would rather be on my side.
Yeah, that's true.
We need a ding, ding, ding.
Yeah. Phil Rivers, 17,581, or Tom Brady, 15,369.
Phil Rivers.
I'm going with Tom Brady.
In my opinion, more weapons, better offense.
Better ingredients, Papa John's? No? Sorry.
No,
That's
absolutely
Peyton
not. That's unacceptable.
No, it was a joke.
I wonder what they're going to do in Denver this week for Papa John's promotion.
But
I don't know.
okay.
Yeah.
But when you're looking at 2,200 more in this matchup, I would go with Tom Brady just because he's the value guy of the week. So, would you rather regarding value, but would you rather straight up Philip Rivers?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, so you just made a case for them both.
Yeah, of course you did.
Well, I would. Yeah, I'm probably
Way to go,
not.
Zach.
I'm probably not going to be plugging in Philip Rivers.
Yeah, Tom Brady for me all the way.
Okay. And don't forget, with all these lineups we're talking about, all these salaries we're talking about are on StarFantasyLeagues.com. It's a $100,000 salary cap. You got to pick 2 QBs, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, tight end, 2 flex, and a defense. That's how you do it. Next one is Russell Wilson, 16,407, or Andrew Luck, 16,306.
Andrew Luck.
It's a really good question. I think I also have to go with Andrew
We
Luck.
haven't mentioned Russell Wilson once, and I
No,
don't.
we haven't.
Because New Orleans defense is a top 5 defense at they really are. Statistically, they are. They got destroyed by Seattle, but that was an anomaly.
And there
this
wasn't that many big game stats. Marshawn Lynch didn't have a good game in that game.
season. Nope. It was just Russell Wilson.
Doug Baldwin and Zach Miller got a couple deep touchdowns, but
That was it. All right, next
not
one.
that many offensive fireworks
All right.
as the score made it look.
All right, so we agree on that one. Stephen Ridley, 87-20, or LeGarrette Blount,
Who are you with this
74-36.
question? What is this question?
Hey, some people were saying Stephen Ridley is going to get some work this game.
Stephen Ridley.
Some
I don't
people-
even want to talk about Stephen Ridley.
Okay, so you guys are both going with Stephen Ridley then.
What?
If you don't say anything, if you don't talk about it, I'm making you
I
pick
like
that
Garrett Blount even before he got into the NFL. I thought that he was just an angry
one. Wait,
man.
when he punched the guy in the face for
Yeah,
no
and
reason?
you know what? I didn't think that was. Well,
I don't think that was bad.
I'm going to sit here and say I didn't think that was such a big deal. Obviously, that's a terrible thing. But when you have somebody that has that kind of anger, and they really belong.
When
on
you
the
have
football
somebody
field.
that has that kind of anger, they usually end up on the New England Patriots.
Hold on. Bill Belichick tries to fix them. Oh, my God, that's good. All right, next one. Frank Gore, 11,070, or Danny Woodhead, 11,155. You obviously know my pick.
Yeah, I think we got to go with Danny Woodhead this week, just because Frank Gore is playing a really stout.
He got his yards last time. He got over 100 total yards against Carolina in the last matchup. He was the only guy that produced.
Yeah, but Danny Woodhead's going to catch some balls out of the backfield and really, I think, making a
I'm going with Frank Gore.
Really?
I like this guy as a gamer in the playoffs every time that he's there. Danny Woodhead, I don't know. I'm a little shaky on him. He's got to catch the balls. He's got to make it in the end zone. If he doesn't make it in the end zone, you're not getting
He's
your
got
value.
the most catches out of the backfield of any running back in the NFL.
Let's just wait and see. If he doesn't make the end zone, he never makes value.
That's not true. In a PPR league, he certainly does.
It's rare. Well, it's not PPR.
I had Danny Woodhead
It's not
this season.
full-point PPR.
In season long, he was
PPR.
a beast. All right, next one is Michael Crabtree, 8258, or Danny Amendola, Danny Glass, 8263.
That's a really good question for me, too. I mean, I would say maybe Michael Crabtree. But I don't know. I guess, I'd like to go with Danny Amendola. I don't know if Julian Edelman's going to have the game that you think he is. I think Danny Amendola is finally going to have his time to step up in the playoffs against not the greatest Indianapolis D. Maybe catch a few balls, get in the end zone once. I think I'm going to go with him.
You're going with Amendola?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, I'm going with Michael Crabtree.
Yeah, thought so.
I'll take him as a target anytime. I don't care who he's playing. Danny Amendola is so fragile this year. Julian Edelman.
Wait, what do you mean this year?
Okay, every year.
Okay.
Julian Edelman has completely usurped him in terms of relevance. So, I'm shying away from that.
I love it. You guys disagreed on almost every single one of these.
Zach's an idiot.
I will end up being right.
Wow.
I will end up being right. If you
just-
call that idiocy, then I guess that's an excellent
We are
one.
going on a high note here on the Star Fantasy League show. I love it. And you guys are listening to the Star Fantasy League show on the Sports Byline USA Network.
The Star Fantasy League show is now part of the Nick Monsanto show. Information is key to being a successful fantasy team owner, and the guys have all the updated info you need right now.
That will wrap us up on another awesome edition of the Star Fantasy League show. Guys, that was a lot of fun. I'm going to miss talking about football on the Weekend Fantasy Focus when it's gone next week.
It's always a lot of fun.
It's still so good to be back, though.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
think the happiness in returning to make fun of Seth is what has really boosted my entire experience here.
Well, I'm really glad to hear that, and I'd really like to spread some cheer to our listeners tonight. If you want to tweet at us at SFL Show on Twitter, the first 20 people, let's say, that are going to go and send us a tweet at SFL Show, why don't you put two foods together that don't belong together and tweet us that? I want to hear that, like tuna fish and spaghetti or something. And if you send us that, we'll give you some free cash on StarFantasyLeagues.com.
Wait, we're just going to give people cash for sending a tweet to us?
Sure.
Or talk about the different types of meals that Andy Reid creates with fried chicken.
I think that's a great idea.
That's amazing. Andy Reid's crazy concoctions, Frankenstein
How about
meals.
names for Andy Reid's restaurant?
That works even better. What do we got going on at StarFantasyLeagues.com this weekend? What do we got going on for basketball, for football? What's happening?
We got free rolls every day. So if you haven't tried out Daily Fantasy yet, you need to get on the action. Come over to StarFantasyLeagues.com. Get in some of these games. Try your hand at it. You'll improve. You'll get better. You'll start to enjoy it.
And you'll make money.
Yeah, and you won't miss losing at your season-long game as much.
We have a $500 free roll this Saturday for NFL. You can join for no money, put together your team with your salary cap, and win your share of $500. We're also guaranteeing over $6,000 in tournaments for real money if you'd like to play. And tomorrow for basketball, we're guaranteeing over $2,000 in NBA contests.
Wow, $2,000 just for NBA in one day?
That's right.
That's pretty good. You got $6,000 for a week of football and $2,000 for one day of basketball. If you haven't played Daily Fantasy NBA before, there's no better time than the present to start playing on StarFantasyLeagues.com. And guys, this is one of the last times I get to say it ever for this year only. Maybe Kitna will get him in here, but if you guys do not have John Kitna in your lineups, we'll have you make a better lineup next time.
Come on over, Kitna.
Yeah, we're waiting for you, Kitna.
Kitna.
We will talk to you later, guys.